Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, the president would like to create a patriotic education program. And I think we need to talk about that. Not just for all of the obvious reasons that people should have some reservations about this idea, but because it's a faulty premise. Actually can't be done. Not really. I'm going to open and close tonight with quotes from Thomas Paine. He was the spiritual and philosophical founder of the Revolution, the American Revolution. He wrote a pamphlet called Common Sense, and it was read everywhere. It was read aloud in churches, taverns. Really solidified the spirit of rebellion in the country. There are many who would say that without him, without his writings being present at that time, the American Revolution wouldn't have happened. Not then. He gave people something to believe in, laid out the philosophy, gave them something to rally around. One of the things that he said, what he wrote, "These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will in this time of crisis shrink from service of their country." He wrote that in 1776. George Washington said, "Every post is honorable in which a man can serve his country." He wrote that in a letter to Benedict Arnold, back when he was a good guy. September 14th, 1775. "I only regret that I have but one life to lose for my country." That's attributed to Nathan Hale, September 22nd, 1776. "Give me liberty or give me death." Patrick Henry, March 23rd, 1775. These are American patriots. These are the people that Trump's little re-education program would certainly try to lay claim to. However, is he justified in doing that? Is the U.S. government justified in laying claim to these people, and these passages in particular? See, they were patriots, no doubt. No doubt. But they were American patriots, in the truest sense of the term. They were patriots before July 2nd, 1776, when independence was declared. They held no loyalty to the U.S. as we know it, not when these passages were said. The Constitution wasn't even written until much, much later. When they said country, they meant something else, because they were real patriots. And as real patriots, they tried to correct their government. It's what real patriots do, because government is a child of the people. Prior to independence being declared, they were trying to correct the king. All of that stuff in the lead up to independence being declared. They were already patriots. They had to be a patriot just to show up to the meeting. By patriotism, I mean devotion to a particular place and a particular way of life, which one believes to be the best in the world, but has no wish to force on other people. Patriotism is of its nature defensive, both militarily and culturally. Nationalism, on the other hand, is inseparable from the desire for power. The abiding purpose of every nationalist is to secure more power and more prestige, not for himself, but for the nation or other unit in which he has chosen to sink his own individuality. George Orwell. Patriotism is loyalty to a place and a way of life. If that way of life is faulty, if it is not living up to the promises, patriots will attempt to correct it. That's patriotism. If you want people to be patriotic, well, they have to have a way of life they want to defend, because patriotism is defensive. You can't teach patriotism. It has to be earned. Classes designed to indoctrinate children in mythology breeds nationalism, not patriotism. Those two things are diametrically opposed. This will not succeed in creating patriots, because patriots, by their very nature, have to question their government, question the things that it's doing. If they are taught the mythology that America is always making the right choices and that everything's great, they can't do that. Any program designed to teach patriotism will fail. If you want to create patriots, you have to give them a place and a way of life they're willing to defend. That's what creates patriots. Not lies, not fairy tales, not mythology. Because this program is certainly not going to teach American history. If you want to teach history, you have to teach the bad parts too. And in the United States, there are volumes of it. We haven't even lived up to the promises in the Declaration of Independence, in the Constitution, the promises set out by Thomas Paine. We haven't even lived up to what he said we should do before we said we were great. He said that when it can be said by any country in the world, my poor are happy, neither ignorance nor distress is to be found among them. My jails are empty of prisoners, my streets of beggars. The aged are not in want, the taxes are not oppressive. The rational world is my friend, because I am the friend of happiness. When these things can be said, then may that country boast its constitution and government. Independence is my happiness, the world is my country, and my religion is to do good. Thomas Paine. That's how you make America great, not with fairy tales. Just because you say something over and over again and people believe it doesn't mean that it's true. If you want to live up to the promises of these patriots that you so desperately want to claim as your spiritual ancestors, live up to their promises. Live up to their ideas. Embody it. Question the government. Patriots do not obey no matter what. That's nationalists. Patriots owe their allegiance to a place and a way of life. If the way of life is wrong, they will attempt to correct it. If it's right, they'll defend it. You want to create patriots? Make America great, and that's how you do it. That was what moved people. This guy, his words, cemented the spirit of rebellion. That's our standard. That's what we should be trying to live up to. Not just fairy tales for kids. The president's program is doomed to fail. And generally, when a country decides to rest on its laurels and not improve itself, the country fails. Our goals are pretty clear. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good night.